Welcome to another episode of One of Us Knows What They're Talking About, and the other one is you. I'm Lori Burch, your host. Join us as we discuss and unpack wills, trusts, estate planning, and probate law in a way that's actually informative, interesting, and, well, hopefully entertaining. Because if you don't have a will, the state of Texas has one for you. Let's dive in. All right. Well, I'm really excited about what we're talking about today because, everybody's favorite topic, spackling, everybody's favorite topic, because, when someone passes away, you're thinking about inheritance and what you're going to get. And sometimes what you get is debt.
Yay.
Woo. Dun, dun, dun.
I thought you were just saying death, and I'm like, that goes without saying.
You do. But yeah, so we're going to talk about debt and paying debt. And I'm going to say something that really goes with every single episode, but I feel like I need to really impress upon it with this one, is none of the things we talk about is actual legal advice. We can't do that. Well, none of them can do it. I can do it, but you have to pay me to do it. And we have to create an attorney-client relationship for it to be legal advice. So all this is general information, okay? So I don't want anybody to take away what we talk about on any episode, but particularly when we're talking about how to pay off a deceased person's debt, as legal advice or guidance. And so we are going to talk about what the law says, and then I'm going to talk about what actually happens. And do that what you may. But we've actually had, a lot of times people will say, oh, I don't need a will, I don't have anything, and blah, 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 blah. And, most people who say that do actually have something, whether it's a car, a bank account, an animal that someone needs to take care of. There's usually something. But for those who truly don't have anything, we've had cases where people have gone through the probate process of a will just to have an executor appointed, because once somebody passes away, there's nobody who can act on behalf of that person. You can't just call up and say, yeah, I knew Sam Anderson, so tell me what's in her bank account. They're going to be like, no, who are you to Sam Anderson? And my answer would be, what am I not to Sam Anderson? But without paperwork from the court, but without paperwork from the court, I can't really act. So having an executor is the only way someone can act on behalf of a deceased person. And so we've had people, just to get debt collectors to go away or to talk to them, have gone through probate to have an executor appointed. So having to deal with somebody's debt is a real thing. Now, what's different between being alive and being dead? Well, there's a lot of differences, but when it comes to debt, it's a little different. So I'll tell you that only the person who passed away is liable for the debt. And we all know what liability means because Sara defined that. Exactly. Sara's word of the week, by the way, is what?
It's proprietary.
Proprietary. That is Sara's word of the week.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't ask her to define it. Just take our word for it that she knows what it means.
She figured it out.
Yes. But, because one of the, funny little jokes that people will say sometimes to me is, can I give them my debt? And actually, no, the answer is no. Only you. So when someone passes away, unless another person has co-signed or co-owns a piece of property or a car or something that you also are on the loan for, nobody else is responsible to pay that. More about the cat and mouse game that you can play with creditors in a moment. But there is a little thing we've got here in the Lone Star State of Texas called the Estates Code, formerly called the Probate Code, but they changed it. Did you all know this? Not too long ago, I will tell you. Not too long ago. We should find what year did it become the Estates Code versus Probate Code? I think it's within I think
gonna
it's
say
changed
20.
in the last 10 years.
My guess is 2013.
2014.
Whoa.
So close.
Yeah.
So close. Why did they change it? I mean, I don't actually know. My guess would be probate is a very specific type of court.
Yeah.
And not everything that governs the estates of people, it actually goes through a probate court or is subject to a probate proceeding. So it's
Okay.
more accurately defined, but I don't actually know that that's the reason. And in fact, it almost makes too much sense.
It almost makes too much sense.
It almost makes too much sense to be real. But anyway, in our good old estates code, section 355.102, it actually has claims classification priority of payment. So there is laid out in the estates code the order in which debts are to be paid. Now, this is all before anybody gets money and stuff. All of this is supposed to be satisfied. So if you have $50, Sam, but you have $20 in debt, and you say everything goes to Sarah, Sarah does not get $50. Your $20 gets paid off, and then Sarah gets $30.
So sorry.
Man.
Buy yourself something nice, I guess.
She's just going
as
to
my
get
dad,
Rose.
as my dad would say, don't spend it all in one place. So anyway, do you know what the very first thing that's supposed to be paid?
Funeral costs?
Who are you, Sam Anderson?
Is that right?
Who are so wise in the way of, I mean, it is, here's the thing.
Ooh.
It is technically posted in our podcast discussion, but what I know in my heart is Sam didn't look at it.
No, not at all.
So yes, and for the sake of filler, I'll tell you a little bit more. But yes, funeral expenses and expenses of the decedent's last illness means whatever killed them.
Okay.
Including claims for reimbursement of those expenses for a reasonable amount approved by the court, not to exceed $15,000 for funeral expenses. So for your elaborate funeral plans that you have, Sam, no. And $15,000 for expenses of the decedent's last illness.
So, like, can you not make it real icky?
I'll try my best.
The next classification, class 2, number 1, expenses of administration. This is my favorite one. Why?
Take it away, Sarah.
Is that man? Is that like I don't know. Is that like lawyer fees?
Ding 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 ding.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
Man.
Lawyers wrote this. So, I mean, generously they allowed funeral expenses to be covered first, but then themselves. But also court costs, having to file notice and all of that sort of things that are associated with a probate fee. But yes, also expenses incurred in preserving, safekeeping, and managing the estate.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What if I get the floors replaced? Just because I wanted to.
You're getting into very gray area because technically if there was no reason, like if that wasn't to secure the estate, then no.
Floors were fine. I just didn't like the color.
But if there is something with the floors where it was uninhabitable or it would otherwise be condemned or it would help to the sale of the property, then that could be an allowable expense. But this could also be getting locks changed on a home, having to get a storage unit to put items into.
Sense.
Yes, again, every once in a while, legal things make sense. I'm not going to go through all of these because some of them are very
some of these don't make
highly nuanced. So another one is prepare yourself, Sarah, is basically class 3 are claims. Class 3 claims are composed of each secured claim for money. So basically, secured claims. What is a secured claim? Go ahead, say it.
It's a claim that's secure.
That is secured.
Secured?
What does that mean, though?
That I do not know.
Okay.
Take it away, Sam.
I mean, you did that to
I
her.
deserve that. I used to know this.
I feel like Sam could answer this.
Think about it.
I know it's ones like credit card debt, stuff like that, right?
It's the exact
No, or is
opposite of that.
That's the opposite
That's
of a secure.
unsecured.
That's unsecured.
Okay, let's do
you-
this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Okay.
Mortgage?
If
Yes.
just hold your horses. Okay. If you charge $6,000 on a credit card, and I'm the credit card company,
Mhm.
and you don't pay me, what do I do? How do I get my $6,000?
You take it to like a debt collector and they chase after the person?
To get the money from you, right?
Yeah.
If I have a loan on your car and you don't pay the loan,
Oh.
what do I do to get the money back?
Take away my car.
If you don't pay me, right?
Yeah.
So you could almost say that I am a creditor that has my debt secured by another asset of yours.
Oh.
Like
You know what collateral
if
means, Sarah.
if you don't pay your mortgage, what can the mortgage company do?
Take your house.
Take your
I
house.
see. Okay.
Hold
Because
on,
they
Lori. I need to.
secured the debt with another asset that they could take from you.
I need us to go back. Hey, Sarah, how do you define collateral again? I need you to define what's happening for our audio listeners.
What's happening is collateral damage.
It's like an explosion just inward is what it looks like with how you're.
You mean
Wouldn't that
like
be-
a collision?
Yeah, but like that's just like the motion.
Collision and collateral.
I'm
are
describing
different.
for the audio listeners.
Yeah, I think all of it's bad. Okay. So
Mhm.
anyway, so secured creditors have a higher priority than an unsecured creditor. Now, the thing about it is, though, if someone inherits, and this is Texas, everybody, if someone inherits a home or even a car, and this is a very important thing, this is a very big misunderstanding or a point of confusion we run into. You do not have to pay off the house in order to get the house. You do not have to pay off the car. With the home in Texas, you can do what's called assume the mortgage. You don't have to personally qualify for it. So if your credit stinks, it's fine, but you have to keep paying the mortgage payments. The other big thing that people don't seem to understand, and some of those people are in our office, is that you cannot change the name that the mortgage is in. Now, what they may do is change it to the estate of whoever passed away, but they're not going to change the mortgage, because a mortgage and a title being who owns a home, mortgage being the money that has to be paid to keep the home, are two different things. So while the title may change to you, I have yet to run into a mortgage company that will change it to a beneficiary's name, unless they independently refinance or do something to get it into their name. But if they just take over or assume the mortgage, then it'll stay either in the deceased person's name, or sometimes they'll put estate of or some other moniker that indicates the person passed away. Got it? Okay. There's a few other things in here. One of them is like child support, this, that, and the other. But the very last rung, essentially, are unsecured creditors. And by and large, this is where the majority of creditors lie, is credit cards, that sort of thing, lines of credit, anything where they have no means to reclaim any money. And yet, credit card companies are the most vicious. They will go after you. They will find every single person who ever friended on somebody on social media who died and start harassing them. I actually had a creditor. This was probably the most offensive thing I had a creditor do, is when you file a probate case, of course, the attorney is of record. And so we get a lot of creditors' claims sent to our office. I got one sent to my home, which means they looked up my name. They found where I live, a piece of property that I own, and they sent it there.
Dang.
That's crazy.
And you know how sometimes, like, the more desperate somebody is, the more it kind of means the less they have to offer, or they have less of a leg to stand on? That is really so true. Now, this is not advice. I'm not telling you to just ignore credit card companies of someone who passed away. I'm just saying there's very little they can do. I mean, what are they going to do? Ruin the dead person's credit?
So real.
And they know it. And they know it. And they are threatening, they are harassing, but it's kind of a double-edged sword when we're dealing with probate cases, because one, something that's being missed from a really important legal standpoint is that the claims have to be legitimate. Okay. And so there's a whole process about notifying creditors, secured creditors. There's permissive notice for unsecured creditors that can start a statute of limitations where they have 4 months to file a claim, and they have to file it appropriately, yada, 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 all these things. So you want to make sure, regardless of all the legal formalities I just talked about, you want to make sure that it is actually a legitimate debt. It's not somebody just saying, oh, Cynthia Frederick died, and we're going to now say that she owes $30,000 to whatever company. You want to make sure it's legitimate. So then here's the double-edged sword, is when there is enough money and assets in the estate, we still have a fair amount of people who just don't want to pay for the debt. And on one hand, we can tell you about, like we we're just saying, ways. Well, we haven't talked about ways, but the fact that there's not a lot they can do. At the same time, maybe this is just a me thing, I fundamentally take issue with people not thinking that the goods and services somebody receives should not be paid for. And if you want to know why, one of their driving factors of why goods and services increase, it's to compensate for stuff like this. I mean, do you really think that Starbucks, not a sponsor, has to charge $6 for coffee and milk? Or do you think the fact that there's plenty of people who take handfuls of Splenda packets for free has to be offset somehow? I'm not saying that's the whole thing. There's a lot of economic pieces that fall into play. But part of it is loss prevention, the costs of what we pay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm not saying anybody needs to care about that. But I'm just saying, personally, if I owed the debt, then go pay the debt, people. Come on now. With that said, though, not everybody's in that position. Sometimes the assets, like if it's a home that has a mortgage on it, it's not like that's cash money, and you may not want to have to sell the home to get the cash to pay a credit card bill. So I will tell you that for the most part, credit card companies will quite often forgive, write off, or significantly reduce what is owed. So while during your life, if you have creditors calling you, you may want to duck them, not answer their calls and all of that. For the most part, I generally tell people, if you've got a creditor and you're handling the estate of someone close to you, answer those calls, talk to them, play hardball. You're going to have a very good chance of being successful in getting them to go away or maybe compromise or reduce something or write it off. The other thing is a lot of, there are some expenses that the estates code doesn't really outline that quite often get forgiven or written off. Not making any promises, and again, this isn't legal advice, but I could tell you one thing that is very confusing in the aftermath of a loved one is when they're getting like care flight bills, ambulance bills, hospital bills, this and that. And what I always tell them when they contact us and they're freaked out because they got a bill, air quote, for $200,000, I'm like, does it say bill or does it say EOB on the top? Because an EOB is an explanation of benefits, and it's just, there's just paperwork that just gets generated, and it just has to go through the channels, because a lot of the times people get this like EOB from a hospital and it says $200,000 and they're freaking out, and then 2 months later they get a letter from the hospital that says they owe nothing. They processed it through insurance, and then whatever didn't cover, they just wrote it off. I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm not guaranteeing you anything. I'm just saying these are some of the things that happen with debt. The other thing are student loans. Like a lot of times, and there's a difference between private loans and federal loans. Some are automatically forgiven. Some you may have to talk to the company about, but there is just debt that's out there that may not actually have to be paid for when somebody passes away. Now, Sarah and Sam, would a student loan be a secured, or a student loan creditor be a secured creditor or unsecured creditor?
Would it depend on whether it's public or private?
Nope.
No.
Unsecured? They can't
And
like
what
take your, they can't take your diploma.
I was
away,
expecting
or
her to
not
say
a
that.
diploma, degree.
They are going to come to where you live, and they've got the little Men in Black pin, and they're going to zap
I was going to say
your
they bring
memory.
like a little like portable shredder with them, and
They're,
No, they just
they're,
shred your degree.
yeah.
they're going to bring in a pod person, and they're going to, that doesn't have the education, and replace you with them.
Dang.
Right. Does anybody have any other things that they're wondering or questions that they're wondering when it comes to how do you handle debt when somebody
I have so
passes?
many.
Nothing legitimate,
Okay.
like absolutely nothing that would actually be constructive and not just for my sheer amusement. So, Sarah, you go.
Where's Sarah's?
You think Sarah has something that doesn't fit the category you just
No,
laid out?
there's something I'm genuinely still confused. First of all, okay, so like say I'm $100 in debt, right?
Wouldn't that
But
be nice,
say-
Sarah?
It would be so nice. But say I only have $50 in my bank account. So when I die, what or wait, no. Hold on.
You can do it.
You can
Hold
do
on.
it.
It made sense in my head, and then now that I'm saying it, you already covered this, but it's like, I guess what happens, say I don't have enough money in my account for the person to pay off all the debt, so what just happens with that debt? Like there's still $50 in debt left over. Do they just write it off? It's just they wave a magic wand and it's
Goodbye,
It's
goodbye, goodbye.
that's it?
Sarah,
What are
what
they
are
gonna
they
do?
going to do?
Come after
Ruin
you?
a dead person's credit?
But then I guess say also like then nobody gets inheritance because then it's like, well, that just all went to my debt, right?
True. Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks.
Both things can be true.
Oh.
But they have
Yeah.
to properly dispose of you first.
But even for spouses, if something is a spouse's separate property and they have, let's say they have a car and it's their separate property and there's a loan on that car, the surviving spouse is not obligated to pay for it or pay it off.
Oh.
Now, if they co-signed on it or they co-own the car and they want to keep the car, then they have to deal with that debt. But
Oh.
they're not liable for a deceased person's debt they're liable for their own debt that they guaranteed or signed off on.
Yeah. Okay. Man. So basically, if you die in debt, potentially
I see
inheritance
the wheels turning.
would be just
There's nada.
man. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, may you die of medical malpractice or some sort of personal injury, because then your family could bring a wrongful death claim and maybe get some
Fingers
money.
crossed.
One can only
Fingers
hope.
crossed.
Now, here's something that we haven't talked about. What if you have nothing to your name, $20,000 in debt, and $1 million life insurance policy that's payable to Sam? What happens to that $20,000 in debt?
Can Cynthia go?
No.
Okay. Does it get paid by the life insurance? Or no?
Cynthia, what do you want to offer? What's your offering?
Well, there's a beneficiary to it.
Right. That was an important
It is
piece of my
a
scenario.
non-probate asset.
Because it doesn't go through the estate to get to me, right? It just goes through the life insurance.
Life insurance is an asset that is exempt from creditors' claims and taxes. There are other types, but life insurance is one of them.
Man. Okay.
With a named beneficiary. But what if I did not put a beneficiary? What if the beneficiary I have died? Then what happens?
Who goes? You want to answer it?
Have to go through probate, right?
Well, without a technical mechanism like that, here's what happens from a practical standpoint, is that if there's not a named or living beneficiary, then it defaults to your estate, and your estate is what's liable to pay your debts.
Mm.
So now
Okay.
you've allowed, which is one reason why we get people who will say, oh, I just named my estate, or I don't have a beneficiary, or this or that. And sometimes that is advice we give. It's very circumstantial. Because some people aren't worried about debts that they're going to have to pay, or they want them to go towards paying debt. So there are reasons people would put their estate or the estate of as a beneficiary. So don't take this as me saying across the board you shouldn't do that. I'm just saying what can happen. I believe Sam has her hand raised, which is weird. We've never done this, but go ahead.
What if their beneficiary is their trust? Would then
Trust that operates differently. So that's not going to the estate. So that is still exempt.
That's my one question.
Because it's still a named beneficiary.
Oh, okay.
It qualifies for that. Very good. Sarah, your wheels are turning.
Sarah looks like she's got like the processing circle.
She's
the loading
thinking,
circle.
and I'm a little wary. So what's going on?
Well,
in
now
that
I'm just
brain?
thinking, like, I guess, say I died with all my student loans. I mean, all I'm hearing is that I don't really have to pay them off.
Okay.
That's really my takeaway.
How long is it going to take you to say those words in that order?
So long as you don't have anything that you think is of value that you want to pass on to anybody, then I suppose you could take that approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to knock on wood. So.
Okay. Very good. So I don't know if the state that I've put you all in will let you get to the next part, but I do believe that you wanted to talk about some things, speaking of going into debt, that Sarah and Sam thought would be good reasons to go into debt.
Yeah, fun and not so fun.
Did you work out who's going to go first?
Yeah, I'm going to go first.
Oh, this is new.
I know. I just looked about 0.2 seconds ago, and the last two are specific to us, so I had to count the bullet
reverse engineer it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And go.
Okay. The first one to go into debt for is concerts, specifically Taylor Swift.
Yes.
1000%. Yeah.
I have personal experience with this. Speaking of which, this is just
thank
for
you.
Burch Law. But when I ordered the M&Ms in the private suite,
Yep.
this is really more the size bag I was imagining.
Yeah, it was maybe like what
Per
one
person.
Oh, that was loud.
Anyway,
Was it not that size?
No,
No.
it was
I
tiny.
said, no, but I'm saying like it should have been like per person for how much I spent on M&Ms.
Dang.
Yeah, it was a
still worth
lot.
All right,
All right.
next.
Another fun thing to go into debt for. Because, okay, well, this doesn't need an explanation. I think it would be really cool to have a raccoon sculpture that is bedazzled, and I would be willing to go into debt for that.
I also really love that it makes it sound like you wrote it when I was the one that did.
Yeah, but we share a brain cell, so
Yeah,
it's like
true.
I would
I don't know that
happily
you want
go
to
into
brag
debt for
about
that.
that.
I
It's a little flex.
actually, why not like a stuffed dead raccoon?
No.
Well,
I
They
could
don't.
see
They're
that
not
for you,
about that
Sarah.
life.
it's a little too real for me, you know?
Yeah.
Taxidermy is not really my style, but
All
I
right.
don't know.
I do think it would fit in with your weird furniture situation.
It would.
It would.
Okay, next.
The next one to go into debt for the newest iPad. Both Sarah and I have experience with this, unfortunately. It was my COVID purchase.
These are all,
that's still kicking. It's doing great.
Yeah.
Are
Honestly,
iPads
it's
really
4
that
years old and
expensive?
it's good. Yeah.
I guess it's all
The
subjective.
newest one that came out like a month beforehand.
If it's like the brand new ones, they are pricier.
I mean, what's expensive? Like, what are we talking?
1,000?
A couple thousand?
For an iPad?
I'm pretty sure it was. It was 4 years ago at this point. I've kind of blocked it out.
even if it was 1,000, I'm putting that on the credit card and forgetting about it.
Oh,
noted. Okay.
Yeah.
Every future creditor, Sarah.
It was like
the iPad Pro. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I
next.
don't need all the stuff. I don't need all the features.
Yeah, I regret it.
Vacation stuff. Happily went into or will go into debt for vacation stuff.
Can we elaborate on what vacation stuff means?
Like, so anything from like activities or
hotels.
Just
what? Towels?
Hotels.
Wait a minute.
Like whatever.
Wait a minute.
Anything.
Say hotel.
Hotel?
Okay, that
she
sounded
did say
normal this time.
Oddly, whenever she was like hotel, it was emphasized oddly.
Hotel.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
No, it got weird.
So vacation stuff, anything from like just the fun activities and everything. It's just like, it's kind of just like money out the door. Like, you just.
Well, because you're literally leaving your door.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's like, it's so worth it. It's like a concert. It's so worth it just to go like blow money and be like, yeah, whatever. Here for a good time, not a long time.
And so easy.
Okay.
Okay. The next one, little treats.
Can you
Y'all are
elaborate?
doing real well.
I mean, like, you got to get yourself a little treat now and then to pick you up, whether it's like Starbucks in the morning or Dutch Bros or
Sam,
I don't know,
not a
little
sponsor.
snack.
I want to know if you are going into debt for Starbucks Street.
No. No.
Listen, earlier this year, they did have to stop altogether.
We almost lasted a year. We
almost lasted a year?
Yeah, it was in January that we started.
Yeah, I'm going to say almost a year if y'all would have made it to like mid-November.
No, I'm going to count
y'all absolutely did not make it
I'm
to
counting
mid-November.
You made it 3/4.
I mean, we could have kept going. We just didn't want
this
to.
This is practically mid-November. I have to interrupt this for a notification I just received. Breaking news. Yeah. Hurricane watch issued for what is likely to become Sarah.
Sarah!
That's the first Hurricane Sarah ever.
We've been waiting for this actually.
When I was looking at Lafayette,
That's so
Raphael?
exciting.
Raphael.
Well,
It told
not
me
for
the next
everybody
name was
else.
Sarah, and I got really excited.
Yeah, we've been waiting for this.
I think it's in the Caribbean and gonna maybe go towards Florida.
Man, Florida.
They're
Oh,
just
good.
missing us this year.
Why don't they name tornadoes?
There's so many of them.
Because we actually named Poppy the Texas tornado.
Oh,
Nice.
That's cute.
It's a true
I
story.
think
She
there
is
is a
the
Poppy as a
Texas tornado.
hurricane name.
That doesn't
Poppy's a
fit.
cute hurricane.
but like, I feel that
Hurricanes aren't cute.
Hurricane
you
Poppy.
can watch tornadoes. They just kind of happen, and so many can happen at the same time out of one system. It'd be kind of hard.
And that's what feels like happens to our house with Poppy. So, all right, back to things to go in debt for.
So, Sam's going in debt for little treats. Car service. I feel like that's necessary. It's not fun at all, but you know, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
Hold
Why
on,
is
I need
it
you to
that-
define service, like maintenance things or getting it detailed.
Like maintenance things. Sometimes it's
Or tricked out.
Yeah, no, don't go into debt for that.
I'm so worried.
strong feelings about that.
I guess so.
But yeah.
Okay. Sam, this
The
is
next
you.
one. A dog, specifically $5,000. Take it away, Sarah.
Wait,
Yeah, I had a friend from high school pay $5,000 for a dog and have to pay monthly for her dog. And I just thought that was absolutely insane when you could get a little street rat for like $20 from the shelter.
little street friend.
Yeah, no, that's nothing. So we have a Frenchie, and we only do rescues, okay? But the story with this Frenchie, we lucked out, is someone laid out like $8,000 for this dog. And then as a puppy, he got some severe medical issues. So this couple that paid this money for him from a breeder decided that they didn't want to deal with all these medical issues and wanted to adopt him out. So a rescue group took over. So we ended up being able to rescue a purebred Frenchie that was only a few months old.
Dang.
It's wild.
I know.
Right
Chandler
on.
Bing.
Hey, Chandler, I have beef.
You talked over me. Our dog's name, our French bulldog's name is Chandler Bing.
And Sam and Chandler have beef.
I think more he has beef with me.
Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't like you.
Yeah.
It is weird because he likes everybody.
Also, people, please adopt, don't shop. Thank you.
He doesn't like kiwis.
He knows you have cats.
Yeah, maybe.
We have cats,
Dude,
Sarah. We have three.
Just the way he my legs were just shrieked or streaked with his scratches was insane.
Yeah, he really was trying to.
Is everybody going to skip over how stupid the thing is that Sarah just said?
I completely forgot you had cats.
I have 3 cats.
She literally posted a picture of Memphis today.
I thought that was just like you're saying Sam only has cats. Like he doesn't smell a dog smell because I have a dog.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, that's
you
what
have
she
dogs, so it's fine with you.
Yeah, she's a cat person.
All right.
Yeah.
What's next?
I thought it made sense.
All right. The most expensive purchase for all that I'd be willing to go into debt for is I would be willing to buy a mountain, put a house on it, name it Mount Kona, and live there. And I would happily go into debt for that. That's
Or you could go into debt moving to Kona. Do you know where Kona
No.
is?
no.
Sarah, why do you do this? Why do you set yourself up like this?
I didn't
Just
realize
say
I
you
was setting
do and
myself
just
up
Google
for that.
real quick.
Do you
Just
know
also before this
that there is a city or town named Kona? There's probably many, but there's really only one that matters. Are you familiar with Kona coffee? Have you ever thought about where that comes from?
That's actually what Kona's named after.
The coffee?
It's
Really?
the Kona coffee. Yeah.
And so the Kona coffee comes from Kona, which is located where?
Hawaii.
But which island?
Y'all really didn't do some research before this.
Which island,
Research about her own
Sarah?
dog.
How do you say it?
Don't overthink.
Kahlua?
No.
I don't know. Wait, I need a big map. There we go.
Kahlua?
Ah.
The island.
big
The
map,
island
big
that
map.
Kona's on.
No, what is it called?
No, it's forever Kahlua.
It just says Island of Hawaii.
Yeah.
On the map. Okay.
That's the name of the island.
Okay.
Did you know that the islands, the Hawaiian Islands, there is an island named Hawaii? It's called the Big Island, but the name of the island is Hawaii.
I did not know that. That's why I'm in debt.
Because you don't know
I'm in too much debt to understand the islands of Hawaii.
You know what, Sarah? I think you should stop paying your student loans because they've already taken it from you.
Whoa.
Man.
All right. And now, Sam.
Okay, so what I would be willing to go into debt for is I'm going to buy a really big house, right? I'm going to renovate it. I'm going to gut out the walls, maybe leave like a room for me. And then I'm going to add like cat platforms and trees and everything and all it. And so it's essentially just a house for my cats. And then I can also adopt more cats because I have a big house.
I actually am really behind this.
Or, and I just thought about this, I finally get my cat barn.
Cat barn?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, thank you.
It's
That
on my
would
mood board.
Smell atrocious.
Yeah. We don't live in the barn.
Well, no, but even if you have like outdoor cats, like if you were ever in a place that's rural and there's like a ton of barn cats, they all gotta go somewhere. And so you just have this cat ammonia smell just wafting in the breeze.
I'll put a
towards
few
you.
air fresheners.
No, thank you.
That'll do the trick.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
cats, but no, thank you.
And that was our list.
My list of cats, how many I'd want, is purely based on where I can put litter boxes because I'm very, very particular about where litter boxes go, and I'm not an outdoor cat kind of person.
No.
So that's the only thing that prevents me from getting more cats is I don't have good places for litter boxes.
And they say you need to have the amount of cats plus one is the appropriate amount of litter boxes.
That's what they say, and I've never done that. I've just had very agreeable cats that can figure it out.
Yeah, same, thankfully.
But yes, you are supposed to have a litter box per cat plus one.
Huh.
So we have 4 litter boxes. We do not.
No.
Because I don't know where I'd put them. But if Sam had a whole house, she could do a whole room. I would recommend a room of litter boxes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, like a room and you have like those enclosed ones. So they're not stinking as bad.
Oh, I had a cat that wasn't down with that. I've gone into debt with the fanciest, most amazing. I had one of those litter robots, not a sponsor. Actually, 2 of them that like did this whole rotating.
Yeah,
all
Ellie
that.
has one of those.
Like most of my cats, they're like, just give me a box. Don't put anything over it. Just let me do my business and let me get out. I don't want any of this fancy shit.
I need to have like a cover on it, even though I don't have one at the moment, because Barry kicks it everywhere. It'll be like halfway across the room. He's that type of cat. He spends 15 minutes in there just kicking it everywhere.
The litter.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant
his litter. Yeah, like the litter of him trying to cover it, even though it's being covered.
We have the little pellet one now, and then it has a tray at the bottom that has a pee pad in it. And that works pretty well, but because we actually have 2 litter boxes for 4 cats, it has to be changed once, if not twice a day.
Yeah, I usually have the electric one that has like the crystals in it. And then you just change out the tray or the crystals like once a week, twice a week, whatever.
I don't know.
I'm really glad
this box
became a litter box conversation.
You're welcome.
So anyway, so those are that's how you handle debt and things that may or may not be worth going into debt for, and litter boxes. Thank you for joining. Thanks for listening. And just to cover all our bases about what you just heard, I'm sorry and you're welcome. Make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and tell your friends about us. We do webinars and live events. The best way to stay up to date is to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube. Links are in the show notes. If there's a topic you'd like us to cover, maybe you have a question you'd like us to answer, or maybe you just want to say hi, hit the link in the show notes or go to burch-law.com/podcast and fill out the contact form.
Much better.
Yeah, I thought that had a lot of energy.